is that.
Yeah. And we're live. Hello, everyone.
And we're live. What's up, everyone? Sorry
Blame
about
this guy right next to me here. I'm playing the wrong
yeah.
way
Sorry we're
there.
late. Things came up. I fell asleep. It has been leveled at me that occasionally I have to fall asleep. And I can and cannot confirm that occasionally I do sleep. I'll plead the fifth. I'll no comment that. But occasionally I do sleep and I slept. But now, don't you worry, guys. At 3:27 a.m., it's time for Matty's first coffee of the day.
Let's go. Let's
Let's go. Let's
go.
go.
Let's go.
All right. So, welcome to Seattle Overload, the Seahawks Week 7 news roundup and chat with Ty. Ty, what's up? How you feeling about the Seahawks?
I'm feeling great about the Seahawks, actually. They're 3-3. They're more or less tied for the division lead because, I mean, the 49ers tiebreaker doesn't actually get settled until the second game they play. So, yeah, I'm feeling great about this team, and I'm feeling even better about this team considering what's going on in Denver. But we'll get to that a little bit later.
No, you tease.
I know you want to talk about that. You toxic son of a bitch.
No, I don't. Oh, yeah. No, you're right. I really do. Yeah. In fact, I'm obnoxiously hoping to talk about
that. You obnoxious piece of shit.
Yeah.
Camden said, Ty, I told you. Yeah, you did. You did tell me. And it was exactly what I said, too. It was exactly what I said. It was the same exact thing that I told you was going on, more or less.
But Camden, were you pinning that on me? Like, were you pinning it on Ty? Kind of these, everyone can say we'll be late, right? Like, wow, well done. You called it. But did you go out there on a limb and predict why? Natural disasters, all that stuff. Next time I'd like to see a bit better stuff from you, Camden. Anyway, Sidney Jones, cornerback for the Seahawks, left cornerback. The presumed starting left cornerback heading into this season was supposedly put on the trade block, according to Jeremy Fowler this past week. Which, as I said, he was the presumed starter. Obviously, Mike Jackson's come in. He's been okay. He hasn't given up a deep touchdown for quite a few games, or at all, really. He stayed on top of things. There's been some costly penalties every now and again, and they've sort of sprinkled in Sidney Jones with all of that. But Ty, does this news surprise you, or are you thinking kind of makes sense? He's scheduled to make over $3 million this year. They're tight up against the cap.
Yeah, it does surprise me a little bit because it doesn't seem like they've really settled on left corner yet. Because, like you said, Sidney's been sprinkled in there. We've seen Mike Jackson. I kind of wonder what this means for Trey Brown. Because he is eligible now to come off of the PUP. And I wonder if maybe this means that he's close and they actually think that he can get involved. Because I mean, like you said, Jackson hasn't been bad, but he also hasn't been particularly great either. So I don't know why they would feel suddenly just comfortable with rolling with him for the rest of the season. So yeah, to me, this either means that like there's some positive news on Trey Brown, or they're just kind of over it with Sidney, right? Like that feels like it's like one of the two, right? Or maybe they've just gotten enough like interest from other teams and they think that they might actually be able to get something decent for him, and they just want to take advantage of that.
Yeah, like he played. He played in the last game. He played 15% of defensive snaps, which is only 11 snaps in total. But I viewed that more as them trying to continue the the weird sort of competition they're having out there. But then maybe it was to showcase him. Like, it's a bit odd. Jones, obviously, he came in and the brief action he has had, he's looked very rusty. And I know Griff is a big fan of his, particularly. especially from 2021's tape, I wasn't as probably positive about him as Griffin, but he came in, he did a job, filled in when he could, and did well. But the defensive scheme, there wasn't that much middle field, closed. So that's like cover 3, cover 1. And this year they're running a lot of like match cover 3, where the corners are basically playing man to man on their outermost guy from often from an off coverage alignment. And Sidney's looked a step behind on that. My point is, it's been a bit more difficult this year with this kind of defensive scheme. And so his adjustment to that's interesting. And then I'm thinking, well, okay, yeah, what does it mean for Trey Brown? I'd like to get to that. But also, has Artie Burns won this competition? Or is it simply, Artie Burns, one, is more familiar with the defense, but two, Jones, $3.5 million. Well, actually, let's actually read that right. He's earning $3,560,000 this year, according to Over the Cap, which is 1.6% of the cap, whereas Artie Burns is earning $2,035,000, which is 0.9% of the cap. Is it simply that 0.7% difference between them? Or Mike Jackson's played like pretty good. Like he had that rough showing against the Falcons, where it's welcome to the NFL kind of. I know he's technically not a rookie, but he's basically a rookie starter at cornerback, right? It's welcome to the NFL, where it's like, oh, Drake London, Kyle Pitts, congratulations. There's been a few of those moments. But I think as he's sort of getting down the scheme, getting that confidence, he's kind of just there. Like, obviously, Tariq Woolen's really kind of outshining him.
Yeah.
But so in that sense, Jackson doesn't have it that easy, because anyone opposite Tariq Woolen's going to look a bit slower, and you're going to be like, well, why haven't they been able to, burst to that route? Why haven't they been able to drive from that football? But he's been fine. And then Trey Brown, well, I mean, hopefully he's right. Like Carroll said, he was running a few weeks ago. We haven't had a status update on him since, really.
Yeah, since what was it, October? I think it was October 1st was the day that he talked about it. So that's been 20-ish days, and now we're past the week 6 part. So he can come off the pup list. We'll just have to see. But yeah, like I didn't even mention Artie Burns there as well. So maybe it's just a matter that they think that their depth is good enough with Jackson and Artie, and then they think that Trey can eventually get involved here, and that's just really what it comes down to. And I guess they have like some level of confidence that they can get something decent for Sidney.
Yeah.
5th, 6th, something like that.
Yeah, I guess. Like, I don't really see what you gain when you have well, obviously I don't see what you gain. Like, I'm not sure if it's worth doing for, day 3 pick. Like, just keep the dude on your roster and have good depth. Like, maybe he's asked to be traded because it's like, okay, I was starting last year, I was playing well. I took this 1-year deal to try and build on my, good season to then get a bigger payday here or elsewhere, and now I'm just not playing it. I mean, it could be that simple as well. So, and yeah, I'm not sure we expected this, but anyway. And then there's the question of, is Trey Brown in this defense? Is he more of a nickel, and is he kind of competition for a Kobe Bryant type rather than a left cornerback type? And again, hopefully he's athletically a similar player, but that's a tough injury, and he was known for like his rare kind of burst and twitch out of breaks. And yeah, hopefully it's still there.
Yeah, hopefully. Yeah, because the patella tendon injuries, those are the gnarliest. We saw Jimmy Graham come back from that. He wasn't really the same. Saw Will Dissly come back from that. Wasn't really the same. So, it's a pretty brutal injury to come back from. So, especially for a cornerback, someone that's as twitchy and as as fast as he is, it's going to be interesting to see what he looks like now, and if that version of him can actually contribute right out of the gate. Like, that's a lot to ask of a guy, and that's, obviously why they're taking it, really, really slow with him as well, because it's been almost a full year now. We're getting up there. I think we're at the 11th month point or something like that from the injury.
So, speaking of Seahawks cornerbacks, rookie, 5th round rookie, Tariq Woolen was named NFC Defensive Player of the Week. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. So every time the Seahawks have won, they've had a Player of the Week for the NFC. So week one was Chinna Nwosu.
Ties advanced analytics there.
There you go, advanced analytics. Totally not because the Seahawks official Twitter account tweeted out the same exact thing or anything like that.
No. You were first on that. Weird they didn't compliment you or credit you. Like, come on, what are we doing, guys?
Exactly. I mean, to be fair, the Seahawks have misspelled my name several times in their weekly news roundups. Just putting that out there. It's a Z at the end, or a Z at the end, not an S.
Thank you. Very appreciated. Not an S.
I'm a Z boy, not an S boy. Yeah.
Have you ever thought about changing it?
I mean, I could, but it's a lot of paperwork. It's just too much. So yeah, Chinna Nwosu week 1, Geno Smith week 4, now Tariq Woolen here in week 6. When they're winning games, they're getting like massive performances, massive individual performances. And Tariq gets another fumble recovery, another interception, his 4th in a row. Does he have all 3 of has he recovered all 3 of Kobe's forced fumbles?
I believe Mike Jackson
he at least has 2.
I believe Mike Jackson may have recovered 1 of them, but I could be off on that. I know Mike Jackson has 2 recovered fumbles, right? Because he had the one in Denver and then the one in somewhere. Anyway,
Falcons, maybe? I don't remember.
But yeah, stat padding works, guys. When it's 4th down, don't swat that incomplete. Go up and get it. I mean, it was pretty inconsequential. If anything, it gave a longer field for the Seahawks offense to drive the football on, so they can drain the clock. But really good interception, and unfortunately, Hollywood Brown got hurt on that. But if you just remove that from the equation, you look at the play before that moment happens, and awful technique from Hollywood Brown, like so bad. Like he just, because this guy is like a condor out there, he's got this wingspan, he's so tall, he's so fast. Hollywood Brown just runs wide outside, and Woolen's just like, oh, it's this easy, huh? Like he doesn't even have to put his hands on him. Then he's in perfect position, and then the fact that he's able to turn and look for the football from that pressed up initial starting point, very, very impressive. We saw with your Shaquille Griffins, he tried to do that. He was kind of up and down doing that. We saw how difficult that is. Trey Flowers on the right-hand side, for a better example, perhaps. He again had difficulties turning to locate the football from that position. So massively impressive. And then, he goes up and gets the football. And if you get the still shot of that play, at the moment of the pick, honestly, Woolen looks like the receiver. He's become a hand catcher of the football, and he wasn't able to connect with his jam at the line of scrimmage on that play. But like against your Cortland Suttons, against your bigger receiver types, against receivers who actually try to release a bit more through the dude rather than just running really wide outside, he's been connecting with his jam. Like for instance, that play against the Saints where somehow they flagged. Did they call pass interference, or maybe it's just defensive holding? Where it's literally, as Carol said, like perfect press technique where, he's able to reset, get 2 hands on the dude, keep his feet, beneath him and all that good stuff. So massively impressive, and his ceiling is crazy. And, leads the NFL in interceptions now with 4. And there's no real signs of that stopping. Like, I don't know. We had this conversation, well, maybe last week's show, where it's like, is he an all pro? Wait, was that what we did?
Yeah.
And people are, like, keep it up, keep it up. Yeah. As we said then, there's a kind of a gauntlet of receivers. He passed the Hollywood Brown phase. This coming week, He has
Mike Williams.
There we go.
DeAndre Carter is a burner. That'll be an interesting matchup if they get matched up 1-on-1. Yeah, and then after
the
that,
Chargers have a lot of big, like they should be tight ends, but they're wearing single digits, so you won't notice.
Yeah, after that, against the Giants, because I think the Giants are the next team up, right? There isn't like one like guy. Is it not the Giants? Let me look at the
No. I'm saying there isn't a guy.
Oh yeah. There isn't a guy. But then like DeAndre Hopkins with the Cardinals after that. And then after that, it's Godwin and Evans with Tampa, and then Devontae. So this is the gauntlet. This is like the real gauntlet for Tariq. And we'll see how that goes for him. And this is going to be the true test to see if like actually he is a real contender for All Pro and Defensive Rookie of the Year and all that stuff, or if there is still like a lot of rawness that's going to end up getting exposed, which I think it could really go either way, because he's really starting to grow. And I've even heard from you guys that he's starting to really get the hang of this and is putting together some better reps. So it's really exciting. I mean, I remember talking to you back when the draft happened and they selected him, and we were doing this show, and you guys were talking about like he might not even play this year because he's just so raw. And now he's
thanks for that, Ty.
Yeah, you're welcome. But like, I think that was like what a lot of people thought too, though, and that like I don't think really anyone expected him to start week 1 and then of course to actually be doing this. It's amazing. It's amazing for the future of the Seahawks, and it's amazing for right now. He's been a lot of fun to watch.
No, you're right. Like even Pete Carroll, he was like, this is crazy. and someone in the press conference asked him, why was he a 5th round pick? And Pete Carroll was like, look at his tape.
yeah.
And then he had to sort of like, whoa, hold on, actually, let's try and protect the player here. But it was quite funny about that, watching the tape, in my Tariq Woolen video titled "Tariq Woolen could be the greatest Seahawks cornerback." I need to edit that to be like "will."
But do it. We need all the clickbait.
I was like, I don't think he's gonna contribute in year 1 because he's so raw technique wise that I just don't see how this all fits together. Get him in on special teams, have him making amazing plays. Well, he's had his amazing special teams play. The blocked field goal. And you know what? I need to be an absolute crazy person and look at the rest of like the field goal block reps, but good to see how close he's got on some of them. But I don't recall him standing out there. So, but it'd be interesting to see like if teams are scheming that up a bit to try and prevent him. I mean, really, with field goal block, if you're just fast off the edge, then it's quite difficult to stop. What's the key is like actually having a good snap, because then no one can, not even Tariq Woolen can get there. Yeah. But yeah, the way he's clearly, because the thing when you're drafting like such a raw athlete, right, is are they coachable and can they pick up the skills quickly? Now, development's not linear, so maybe he plateaus a bit now, but oh my word, his ability to have learned all of this stuff. He was talking about even like practicing catching with Marquise Goodwin. Really, really impressive to have all of that down so quickly. Like now looks like a natural catcher. Like his catch against the Lions, where it's literally like working the jugs machine. You can see how it's translated. His interception undercutting the crossing route, and some of the plays he gives up on the catches he allows. It is just like in 2 years' time. If he continues working at it, which why wouldn't he, right? In 2 years' time, he makes the play because he understands what he's getting. He's out there still like being pretty raw, and yet in some ways, right? And yet, very polished press technique, increasingly polished coverage from off. The cover 2 stuff is still kind of rough, like in terms of playing deep to shore, looking for the deep route when you've got your butt to the sideline. But wow, we're already seeing some really good stuff, and the potential is kind of nuts. So
yeah, like his UTSA tape to his tape now is like night and day. It's like watching a completely different player, like same skill set, but like just technique wise and everything that he's been able to learn and apply over the last 6 or so months, it's mind blowing what he's been able to do. Like it's unheard of. Like this doesn't happen. Like he's I hate to say it, Maddie, but I think Tariq Woolen might be built different.
There we go. I think he is. Like I think there's this thing called the combine where we sort of tries to measure that sort of thing. I should say, sloppy from me. Pete Carroll said Trey Brown today. He said Trey Brown's a couple of weeks away from maybe.
Okay,
from
I didn't see that
returning
either,
off
so
IR.
that's my bad too.
So a couple of weeks, I guess, trade deadline is coming up. So that's why you start getting this news about Sidney Jones.
Yeah.
If you can call it news, rumors.
Well, yeah. So what? The deadline's next week, right? Next Tuesday. Am I right on that? Next Tuesday?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, Trey's 2 weeks off, and you still have Artie and Jackson, and yeah, it makes sense. It lines up. So that probably is what it is. It's just they think that Trey is going to get Trey's basically going to replace Sidney, or Artie is going to replace Sidney, and Trey is going to replace Artie's current role, I guess.
Nailed it.
Sure. That's how my mind was working with that.
Well, they're so tight up against the cap, they had to restructure
Gabe Jackson.
Yeah, restructure Gabe Jackson's deal. So and what I overlooked is when you call dudes up from the practice squad, that is still like taking up more and more cap space. So you can run out and with that, even those sorts of things. So, and with how the running back position is, for instance, where they're going to do a bit of cycling through that, potentially. Makes sense, right?
Yeah, it makes sense. And if you can get a draft asset out of it, then why not? If they foresee that Sidney isn't going to play that much for the rest of the year, then why not get the draft pick or whatever you were able to get for him?
Yeah, why not?
Yeah. All right, Maddie. We have
no. Are we doing it?
Not yet.
Okay, sorry.
Not yet. We have. You're so excited. You're being so toxic right now. You're so excited to be toxic. We got some injuries to talk about.
That's bad.
Yeah. So today, injury report wasn't super full, but there's some notable names on it. The Gabe Jackson didn't practice again with the knee hip thing. Artie didn't practice. Nwosu didn't practice, but that was just rest. But the big one on there is Tyler Lockett. By the way, Al Woods did practice today, just limited. So hopefully he is on the way back. But yeah, Tyler Lockett didn't practice today with a hamstring, and of course he didn't practice once last week either. So and he was able to play. So it might not be anything. He might just be getting rest. I know he was on the field today. Just wasn't participating. So could be nothing. But given the way that the Chargers secondary is right now, with JC Jackson getting benched and the way that it looked, especially in the first half on Monday, that's wild. By the way, we'll have to talk about that. But it'd be nice to have Tyler Lockett on Sunday. That would really, really help.
Sure would be nice, huh? And interesting, in this last game, he was taken off of special teams return duties. They put DJ Dallas back for punts, and then D. Eskridge was on the kickoff. He took that role. So they're obviously trying to protect him. He actually, it felt like he was a bit limited in the game in terms of like his targets. Watching the tape back, I couldn't really tell, to be fair. If you hadn't told me, I wouldn't have been able to tell. But, players are always, are you hurt or are you injured? And I think everyone's hurting at this point. The fact they've put it on the injury report shows that, must be pretty interesting. And I'm not sure. I don't know. They obviously know more, but like, surely with a hamstring, Like it's only going to get worse. Like it's like when I used to play soccer, and after hurting my groin, taking a corner kick, it's not going to get any better. Like stop taking corner kicks.
Yeah, like you said before the show, you have hamstrings, so you can relate here on this
Yeah,
topic.
correct if I'm wrong, but everyone has is it 3 hamstrings, right?
I mean, let me check.
I've
1,
got 3.
2. I don't have 3. Am I weird?
Bro, you have 2 hamstrings. Are you okay?
Am I weird?
Yeah, I think so. You should probably get that checked out, huh?
I should, man. I don't think I'll be able to make it for tomorrow's show then. Sorry, Maddie.
Yeah, you can go to the docks. But what you should do
There's
is not tell
bigger
me
things.
and turn
There's
up an
bigger
hour
things
late.
at hand here. So yeah, I mean, we'll see. I mean, this is obviously probably the biggest injury to monitor here going into this week because, like I said, Chargers are kind of hurting in the secondary right now because J.C. Jackson has been bad. Just to say it, he's been really bad after making a lot of money this offseason. He got benched, and today in his press conference, he was saying, "I feel defeated." Have you gotten a chance to watch any Chargers tape at all this year? Any tape of their defense?
Well, not to preempt another discussion that is coming, but I did watch that last game, the tape of it as well, and it was part of the reason I'm so tired. And yeah, I don't know what they're doing in the first half, particularly. Like, what on earth was that? And like Lockett's a big miss if he can't go, which we don't have much to think. I think he will go, right? But he kind of is that dude for Gino all over the field. Like he's short, intermediate, deep, over the middle, outside the numbers. He can run pretty much any route for Gino, and they seem to have a connection even on like the improvisation plays. Whereas Metcalf, he's a bigger type. His route tree's slightly different. Like if you had to pick a player to be missing, particularly against the Charger style of defense, which is, similar coverages to the Seahawks, I think you're picking Metcalf, right?
Yeah, for sure. But it would be nice to have Lockett here. Hopefully he's doing all right with the hamstring injury. Now, Maddie, you know who else is dealing with a hamstring injury right now? Anyone come to mind?
I know. I think that's the good thing about the Seahawks, right? They're in a pretty good bill of health. Like touch wood, all of that good stuff. Like obviously they've lost their star running back, their star strong safety. They've had some pretty brutal season-ending injuries. But in terms of like the injury report this week and the fact they come out of that game with no major news on the injury front, that's very positive. But no, not sure who's nursing injury for the Seahawks.
No, not the Seahawks.
Oh, not for the Seahawks.
No, not for the Seahawks.
Okay.
Not for the Seahawks.
Why would you the Chargers? I thought Herbert had a rib thing. No.
Yeah, he does. No, you're right about that.
I don't think the hamstring's in the ribs, is it?
No, it's not, and I don't think Keenan Allen is dealing with a hamstring injury either. No, there's someone that's a little further away from Los Angeles.
It's
or two remove.
Is it a real injury and is it real pain?
Yes, it is a real injury and it is real pain, as described on Twitter.com. But don't worry, Maddie, because it will heal very soon. Because the person that is injured, this person that is in question, does have Wolverine blood, and therefore will be able to heal faster than any other human that has ever existed on planet Earth.
What does that mean, Wolverine blood?
Like he has like the blood of like Wolverine from the Marvel comics.
Oh, thanks, Ty.
Sure.
Thanks, Ty. Hadn't got there.
Yeah.
Is Wolverine, I don't know. But you're the comic dude. You know Marvel and your what is it, CMU? What does Wolverine have which makes him special? Bro, you're muted.
Oh, I didn't know that I was muted. All right, I don't know why CMU got me, but I'm gonna refocus here.
I'm just a funny guy, man.
I apologize. Yeah, I think he has, as they said here as Christopher here in the comments said, he has Russamantium, adamantium.
Actually,
yeah. I think
that
he
is
has
hilarious.
adamantium. Yeah,
That's
I think he
so
has
funny.
adamantium. Yeah. All right, let's drop the bit. Russell Wilson has a hamstring injury. He's got a shoulder injury. He once upon a time, not too very long ago, had a finger injury, and he came back pretty quick from that. He was told it was one of the worst finger injuries of all time that his surgeon in particular had ever seen. And he was given a 4 to 6 week return or 6 to 8 week return, something like that.
It was definitely
and he was
6 to 8 weeks, and I think it should have been 8 weeks, really.
Yeah, but he said, no, I'm gonna cut that in half. You can't tell me what to do. I'm gonna come back faster and stronger because no time to sleep and nanobubbles. And it didn't work out for him particularly well. I'm just gonna say it. I don't think that he should be playing right now. I really don't. Especially after hearing the tweet that it is a real injury. There is real pain. That sounds like something that he should not be playing through, especially when his team is 2-4. Because the worst thing that you can do at this point is make it worse, continue to diminish his health, his long-term health as a football player. And then you go into next year and he's still beat up. I think if you're the Broncos, you have to take this time now while it sucks and the fan base is going to hate it and all that stuff. And you're going to look like big dummies for making the trade and all that. You've made a long-term commitment to him. You got to get him as healthy as possible for the future. Because if you just drive him into the ground, that's not going to help anyone. It's not going to help anyone at the end of the day. So, and obviously, we would prefer that they shut him down because, well, who knows?
Well, would we?
maybe Brett Rippon is a better option for the Broncos offense right now, considering how things are going. I mean, put up 13 passing yards in an entire second half and overtime, I mean, there isn't really much worse you can do than that.
He was 3 for 11 in the second half and overtime. 15 passing yards.
Yeah.
Or that might have included 2-yard rush that. But I mean, to me, it's sad because I don't think he should be playing. Even in that game, he couldn't drive the football. The broadcast narrative was desperate for him to be good, and I understand that. But in that first half, the Chargers just started blowing coverages to the extent that their star, highly paid corner JC Jackson gets benched. And Troy and whoever it is, the other guy, Joe.
Joseph.
Joseph, yes. They're like, oh, here we go. It's Russell, baby. He's out the pocket. This is great. Just move him out the pocket. It's so easy. Just do more of this. And it's like they blew a coverage abysmally, and he's underthrown it. And okay, he can step up in the pocket, but the ball comes out wobbly. And he's like, Then he's rolling right, and he hits his receive. Where again, kind of a bust from the Chargers because their contained rush did not work, and they didn't keep him in the pocket, and he takes all of his strength to zip that in there to the receiver working back to him, and he gets it in there, and Judy takes it off up the sideline. But oh my word, in the second half, and even in the first half, he's trying to drive the football, and the ball is wobbling the shot, whatever. Because when it was the shoulder, I was like, oh, it'll be the left shoulder then. Because if it's the right shoulder, how do you go out and play quarterback? That feels important. And yet he's out there playing quarterback. What? And at a certain point, the real problem in Denver, it's kind of dangerous, really, is the head coach in Hackett doesn't want to get fired, right? And so as soon as he benches Russell Wilson, he'll probably be like, well, I'm getting fired. I have to make it work with Russell Wilson. And Russell Wilson is like probably one, he's very competitive, but also, if I sit on the bench, is Brett Ripien going to be better than me? Like, because right now, I feel so bad for the Broncos defense. Offense, league worst 1.2 touchdowns scored per game. Defense, league best 1 touchdowns allowed per game. Like, what on earth? Can you imagine? And listen to this. Mike Sando of The Athletic tweeted out, Broncos offensive points per game by starting quarterback since 2000, minimum of 3 starts. So the leader of that is Peyton Manning, Russ's idol, with 57 games, offensive points per game 28.42, which, considering how he fell off at the end, is pretty impressive that he managed to.
Yeah.
Anyway, Russ is bottom of that list. 6 games, 14.83 points per game, below guys like Paxton Lynch, Joe Flacco, Brandon Allen, Tim Tebow, Brock Osweiler, Trevor Siemian, Kyle Orton, Case Keenum. Even Drew Lock, who is sitting kind of middle, slightly like.
Can you say that list again for me, Maddie?
Say that list again for me, Maddie. You'd like to hear the names he's below? Okay. He's below Jay Cutler, Drew Lock, Teddy Bridgewater, Case Keenum, Kyle Orton, Trevor Siemian, Brock Osweiler, Tim Tebow, Brandon Allen, Joe Flacco, Paxton Lynch. Yeah, that's tough.
Yeah.
And the Broncos were 17-1, according to Action Network, to win the Super Bowl before the season started. They are now 90-1. And I mean, if you're betting that, you're a lunatic.
Yeah. This isn't going to get better, especially with him dealing with the injuries. Now, going back to the Hackett discussion, I mean, couldn't Hackett flip this and use this to his advantage where he's like, well, you can't fire me because I was dealing with an injured Russ the whole time and we weren't at full strength. Right?
But then the question's like, well, it's interesting as well because they've got this new ownership group and it's like, they were just like, yeah, no, we'll extend Russ before the season. And now it's where do they take it now? Do they get aggressive and fire their head coach? Are they laissez-faire? Are they still working out football and they kind of just leave it? That will be, it's such a mess. It's such a mess.
Yeah. And now they're going to go up against the Jets defense that has been really good. Just shut down a significantly regressed Packers offense that is performing, I mean, a little bit better than the Broncos offense, but not that great. I don't think that this week is going to go particularly well for them. And then they're 2-5 at that point. They have the 7th worst record in football right now, which means the Seahawks are currently slated to have the 7th pick in the draft. And so I think if it continues to snowball, you gotta think about shutting him down. This is the thing, I wrote about this last year when he was dealing with the finger injury that, when the Seahawks were whatever they were, like 3-8, it's kind of a lost cause this season. Just shut him down, don't make it worse.
And Geno was that season, like, okay, it was against the Jags, but Geno was showing promising signs. Like, to his credit, Griff was like in on Geno from that little stretch because there was the process which then continued into the preseason. And Russ just came back way too soon. Now, here, I do think he should. It's not working. Like, stop. Get healthy. That's what's really sad about it. Because, like, again, I said against the Colts, he should go off against the Colts. They're running the Gus Bradley style defense. There'll be middle field closed opportunities. And he's just flat out, like, missing, like, stuff that it used to be his bread and butter. And he's just missing it. And it's like, okay, so is that the shoulder? Is that just being off? It's probably a bit of both. Then this game, like how he missed that middle, man coverage, he like forced it to the wrong side. He didn't read the concept out as designed when they could have had a touchdown. This game, he's like missing all of the protection stuff, which in Seattle, in his last season particularly, he's like not executing the pass protection scheme properly. He's not throwing hot. He's not resetting the protection. He's not identifying that there's a pressure coming to the man side of the pass pro where, or even identifying that they're outnumbering one side of the pass pro. It's like he's just not playing good quarterback at all in the sense that it's not even like because they're like, okay, he's missing throws, but also he's flat out not executing the mental side of the quarterback. And that what happens there is time of possession. The defense was on the field for over 38 minutes compared to the offense being on the field for 28 minutes. Does that sound familiar? And Denver's offense went 4 for 14 on third down, and they're 2-4. And at a certain point, what Evero's doing there, he should get a head coaching gig if he wants it, because their defense is playing lights out. Yeah, they've got talent, they're familiar with this kind of offshoot of a Fangio scheme, but he has them playing hard every week. They're ferocious. They're like a legitimately, especially with all these circumstances, elite defense. As I said about, them allowing one touchdown a game, basically, which is really, really impressive stuff, especially in this era. And yet, I don't know. It's you have to, especially with like a player like Russ, who's obviously really wants to play. You got to take it out of his hands, I think, because it's just not like damage limitation. The Jets are gonna, he's obviously better than this. Like I was saying after the Colts game, I think this is his low. Like it can't get much worse than this. But with the injuries, like with the playing through it, with the not sitting out, with the locker room stuff, which that will get difficult, because you come up at the podium and you're positive in Russ's way, and he's less familiar with these new teammates, and he's positive after the offense just sucks, right? They just suck. And yet, the defense playing lights out, as I've said, you can't just keep doing that. It's not sustainable. And the dude earns, obviously so much more money. Like it's just, and Justin Simmons after the game, we all know what the definition of insanity is. We can't keep doing the same thing week in, week out and think things are going to change.
Yeah. Well, and it's starting to rub teammates the wrong way. Like they're being, vocal about it too. Like, I don't know if you saw Melvin Gordon's Twitter, but he was like liking tweets about the Broncos should trade him and all this stuff. Like it's getting rough there. It's getting rough there. Guys are growing tired of it. And I think, for them to just kind of salvage the relationship and just kind of salvage, the long-term goal here, they need to stop the bleeding. And I think the only way to do that is by just admitting Russ is hurt. He needs to take a step back here, heal up, and we got to reset, because then you can at least, turn it in, like I said, with Hackett, that look, we've been dealing with Russ being hurt and all that, we're just not fully healthy. Plus, Garrett Bowles is hurt, so that's made things worse as well on the left side. Like, so the Tim Patrick obviously had his season ended before it even got going. They've had injuries, they've had a lot of these things, so they can flip it into not necessarily a positive sense, but I feel like there is a way here, there is a path here for them to kind of just reset and get things back on track for next year before this thing gets really out of control. But if he continues to play like this, and I think as long as he's dealing with injuries, he is going to continue to play like this, and the offense is going to continue to struggle unless they completely reinvent themselves and suddenly find a run game. It's just like it could get really, really bad, like really, really ugly there. And also, if you're talking about like trying to recruit free agents and improve this team next year, who wants to join this situation? Who's watching from the outside, especially with all the national attention that this is getting right now? And who wants to actually sign up for this thing?
Well, and Hackett's play calling down the stretch of that last game, like positive wise, they found that shotgun running is a good idea, especially with a quarterback like Russ, and they sprinkled in a bit of zone read, and Latavius Murray looked good, right? But Hackett looked terrified of it. Was like Shanahan sometimes with Jimmy G when he doesn't pass for no reason. It was like screens. It was like, oh my goodness, we can't just drop back here. It was like we're only going to pass when we actually drop back to pass when we absolutely have to, which was like third and long, third and medium. Like, man, Oh, I just I I don't know what more to say. They're 29th in EPA per drive, 30th in success rate, 31st in points per game, 31st in points per drive. I don't know how. Like, and again,
wait, there's someone that's worse in points per drive. Who?
I've no idea. That would be yeah, that'd be interesting to know.
It has to be like the Panthers or someone like that, right? Like,
oh yeah,
think.
for sure,
Yeah.
yeah. But you know, and interestingly, you know, Baker Mayfield, Russ, like, what issues are they having? Well, they kind of look like the same player. Like,
oh no, Maddie. Oh no, Maddie.
well, like Baker plays like
true,
Russ, but without the athleticism, and that he thinks he's Russell, and now Russell, like, anyway,
Russell doesn't really have the athleticism anymore.
And you have like Golden Tate tweeting out like,
oh yeah,
correct me if I'm wrong, but the kid McManus, Brandon McManus, has scored over half of the Broncos' points this year, scoring 47 of their 91 points. Is that normal? And then like reminding people that I was such a criminal for having my opinion that Matt Stafford was the best quarterback he's played with. And you have Luke Wilson on Canadian television, which obviously you're familiar with, Ty, saying that
he's great on there, by the way.
Limited.
No.
And it's true. It is like it's not catty or petty to like if you're an analyst, like breaking news here, like if you're an analyst, you call it as you see it. And Russ is like it's bad right now. It's really bad. Like I said, obviously this is his nadir. Although, you know, that is your lowest moment, as if we get out the older thesaurus dictionary,
yes.
Read the definition. Now, obviously, this is his lowest moment, or is it? Because, you know, as we said, if we don't shut him down, I don't actually see how it gets any better. And but anyway, you know, he is better than this. But right now, it's hard to see the
he's going to go up against some good defenses as well here in the coming weeks. So yeah,
he's like taking absolute pelters from all angles. Like his dude, Colin Coward, is out there. Well, I don't think Colin, like little inside the industry, I don't think Colin personally is doing this, but I think someone is like out there. Certain content has disappeared from his YouTube channel or has been edited, and titles have been changed. Because, you know, he was pretty big on on Russ and the Broncos, and he was pretty low on the Seahawks, and that's become an interesting situation.
It almost feels, and I know like we're only 6 weeks through the season, but it almost feels at this point, just considering the way that things are going, that it's like all but a guarantee at this point that the highest pick the Seahawks make next April is going to be the Broncos pick.
Yeah. Well, I mean, why not? Like, why not?
Yeah.
But my thing is, and from an ego perspective, I'd find this difficult. If I were Russell Wilson, imagine, how tall is he? 5'10"?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm 5'10". Yeah, on a good day.
Cool.
So,
all right. Matty F. Brown, and the F stands for Russell Wilson.
The F stands for freaking tall.
Yes.
Where was I going with that?
why are you being so toxic right now, Maddie? Talking about Russell Wilson. How you dare you utter his name? How dare you? Okay. By the way, if your name is Adrian Frank, I hope that you had your ears closed during this segment. Hope you had earmuffs on. Sorry, buddy. Sorry for being obnoxious. And yeah, to be frank, we're sorry for being obnoxious. And
frankly, we apologize. I don't know where I was going with the Russell Wilson thing, the tall thing.
Whatever. it's look, at the end of the day, Russell's in a bad spot. I also hope that he's doing okay, because it does seem like he
seems pressed a little. Like I would be pressed. Like, yeah, but
the fact that he didn't do his little like Broncos country let's ride thing at the end of his last 2 press conferences, like that's an actual, like, I feel like that's an actual sign, like something like he's like this is getting to him. The fact that he consciously has just stopped doing
off that. In his post-game press conference, he was giving off, you know, like the pressed like Homelander the Homelander like melting down stuff, I was getting that kind of vibe. Like it was bad.
Yeah. Hopefully he doesn't shoot lasers out of his eyes at the entire press room.
I'm sure he won't. Hopefully he, and then you've got all this other stuff where the actual toxicity, where people are going at him for like his personality and his family and being corny and and it seems like it's actually like a personal vendetta from people where he's like rubbed people up the wrong way.
Like that's weirdo behavior. Like there's like obviously like what we do joking around, like whatever. I think that's more than fair game considering the way that things went, considering the false narratives, dilemmas, etc. But like personally attacking Ross off the field as a person, personally attacking like his wife, his kids, stuff like that, not cool. You're a weirdo. Like if you do that stuff. Yeah.
But then you go back to I agree with that, just to be clear. But you go back to the Marshall interview of Richard Sherman, where he's clearly like, they have to go through his manager to connect, like, and well, from all accounts, he's always kept a tight knit circle, right? But like, that's odd. That is odd, and it all kind of fits together. It all fits together, the kind of coldness. Yeah. It fits together, all the coldness, and especially with a new team, like they're just gonna be like, okay, this is the leader of our franchise, and odd. Anyway, hopefully there's a way out of it. It's hard to see it right now. They're in it, and as we've said, I don't necessarily think it's getting. I don't know how it will get better. So the Seahawks defense, there's been a lot of quotes coming out about how they changed some things up front, and different techniques and played differently, and that was a big part of the Arizona Cardinals win. I think we should talk about that in the tape podcast tomorrow with Griff. But just to acknowledge that we haven't forgotten about that, but just make sure you tune in tomorrow, where we'll be
By the way,
discussing...
Maddie, I'm proud of you. You didn't say tape pod tomorrow at all, I don't think, throughout this entire episode.
Well, you've got to get it in. You got to get it in,
Yeah, we got to get it in. All right. Anything else you want to go over before we're done?
No, I think we're done. What I do want to go over, if you're watching and we got people in here, let's go. Please do like the video. Go. Please do subscribe. Let's fly.
let's fly.
Please, yeah. If you're listening, please leave us a 5-star review. We're seeing them. That's really, really positive. We appreciate it. And,
Ichiro Bobblehead wants you to subscribe.
Oh my word!
He also
is he holding a Spider-Man thing? What is that?
He's holding his MVP award.
Oh, is that the MVP logo?
It's like, yeah. Oh, wait, I'm so confused about what I'm doing right now. Where is it? There it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's his MVP thing. Yeah, he says subscribe. He also says Seahawks by 10 this week.
Seahawks by 10?
Yeah.
As many as 10?
Yeah, that's what Ichiro Bobblehead said. So what Ichiro Bobblehead says goes. So Seahawks by 10 this week, I guess. I didn't say it. Ichiro Bobblehead said it.
That's wild. I kind of heard it as well. Like he was whispering, he's shy on camera.
It was like Seahawks by 10.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll be previewing that matchup as well tomorrow. So make sure you tune in. But until then, thank you, everyone. We really appreciate it. It's been awesome. And have a good evening. Have a good night. Have a good morning. Have a good day. Have a good one.
Bye.
Bye.